For my birthday, my family took me to a cheap buffet and gave me a card that read, "Maybe next year you'll do something worth a real gift." I just grinned, posted a photo, and left without a word. 4 days later, they were panicking in the group chat. I, 32 am, have always been the family disappointment. While my siblings climbed corporate ladders and bought houses in prestigious neighborhoods, I chose a different path. After dropping out of my MBA program 5 years ago, I started a small tech consulting business from my cramped apartment. My family never missed an opportunity to remind me of my failure. The birthday dinner was supposed to be a celebration, but it felt more like a funeral. They took me to Golden Corral, not exactly the place you'd expect for someone's 32nd birthday when the family regularly dines at steakhouses. I watched my older brother load his plate with mac and cheese while complaining about having to drive across town for this. My sister kept checking her phone, probably coordinating with her husband about picking up their kids. My parents sat there looking like they were doing me some massive favor. When they handed me the card, I expected the usual generic birthday wishes. Instead, I found myself staring at handwriting that might as well have been a punch to the gut. The message was clear. I wasn't worth a real gift because I hadn't accomplished anything worth celebrating. I felt something shift inside me at that moment. Not anger, something colder. I pulled out my phone, snapped a photo of myself grinning at the table with the card visible, and posted it to my Instagram story with the caption, "Family Dinner Vibes." Then I stood up, thanked them for the lovely evening, and walked out. They called after me, but I kept walking. What they didn't know was that 3 months ago, I had quietly sold my consulting business to a Fortune 500 company for 8 figures. The NDA prevented me from discussing details, but the deal was set to close the following week. I had been planning to surprise them with the news at dinner, maybe even offer to pay off my parents' mortgage or help my siblings with their kids' college funds. That plan died the moment I read their card. Instead, I went home and made different arrangements. I called my lawyer and set up a charitable foundation in my late grandfather's name. Every penny of that sale money, except what I needed for my own modest future, would go toward providing business loans for young entrepreneurs from low-income families. The same grandfather who had always believed in me, even when everyone else saw only failure. For 4 days, I stayed off social media and ignored their calls. I knew they had seen my Instagram story because mutual friends had been liking and commenting. Some asked if I was okay. Others made jokes about family dynamics. I let them wonder. On day 4, my phone started buzzing incessantly with messages from our family group chat. My mother had apparently done some digging after a friend mentioned seeing someone who looked like me in a business journal article. The article, published that morning, detailed the acquisition of my company and quoted me extensively about the future of small business technology consulting. The journalist had been working on the piece for weeks, but I had forgotten it was coming out. The group chat messages came in rapid succession. My brother asking if the article was real. My sister demanding to know why I hadn't told anyone. My parents alternating between confusion and what looked like panic as they realized what they had done. But the message that made me actually laugh came from my brother. He wanted to know if I needed help managing my new wealth and suggested we meet for dinner to discuss investment opportunities. I screenshot every message but didn't respond. Instead, I posted a new Instagram story, a photo of the signed acquisition papers with the dollar amount visible, along with screenshots of the family chat. The caption read, "Some things are worth celebrating. Some families are worth celebrating with." I learned this week which is which. The response was immediate. My phone started ringing nonstop. Extended family members who barely spoke to me suddenly wanted to catch up. Old friends reached out. But most importantly, the story got picked up by local news as a human interest piece about entrepreneurship and family dynamics. Update 1. The media attention was unexpected. A local TV station wanted to interview me about young entrepreneurs overcoming family skepticism. I agreed, but on one condition: they could discuss my business success, but I wanted to focus on the charitable foundation. During the interview, I mentioned that the foundation would be funding young people whose families didn't believe in their dreams. I talked about my grandfather, who had passed away 3 years earlier, and how he had always encouraged me to take risks. The interviewer asked about my family's reaction to my success. I simply said that some people are better at recognizing success after it's already happened than believing in it beforehand. I mentioned that real support means being there during the struggles, not just showing up for the celebration. The interview aired during prime time. My parents' neighbors saw it. My siblings' coworkers saw it. The story went viral on local social media. My family's panic in the group chat escalated. Now they weren't just dealing with the realization that they had dismissed a millionaire. They were dealing with public embarrassment. Friends and neighbors were asking them about the interview. My mother's book club wanted to know why she had never mentioned her successful son. My father called 18 times that day. I let every call go to voicemail. Update 2. A week after the interview, I received a formal letter in the mail. My parents had written what could only be described as an apology essay, complete with explanations for their behavior and promises to do better. They wanted to take me to a proper dinner to celebrate my success. My brother sent a text saying he had always believed in me and wanted to discuss potential business partnerships. My sister suddenly remembered all the times she had defended my choices to other family members. The thing about desperate people is they'll rewrite history to fit their current needs. I had my lawyer draft a response to my parents' letter. It was brief and professional, thanking them for their apology while explaining that some damage takes time to heal. I mentioned that I would be traveling extensively for the foundation and would be in touch when I was ready. What I didn't tell them was that I had already purchased a house in another state. Not a mansion, just a comfortable place with enough space for a home office and a guest room for the people who actually deserve to visit. The foundation launched 2 weeks later. The local newspaper ran a front-page story about the largest charitable donation in the city's history. They interviewed some of the first grant recipients, young entrepreneurs whose families had either disowned them or refused to support their dreams. One of them, a young woman starting a bakery, said something that stuck with me. Sometimes the people who are supposed to love you most are the ones who believe in you least. Update 3. 3 months have passed since the birthday dinner that changed everything. The foundation has funded 12 startup businesses, and 3 are already turning profits. I've been traveling, speaking at entrepreneurship conferences, and working on my next venture, a platform that connects investors with overlooked small businesses. My family has continued reaching out. Christmas came and went without me attending family dinner. Instead, I spent it volunteering at a shelter, helping serve meals to people who actually appreciated the gesture. My mother sent me photos from Christmas dinner, showing an empty chair where I usually sat. The guilt trip was obvious, but it felt more pathetic than manipulative. Last month, my brother's investment firm ran into some trouble. Nothing catastrophic, but significant enough that he needed a cash injection to avoid laying off employees. He swallowed his pride and called me directly. He explained the situation, admitted that he had treated me poorly, and asked if I would consider a loan. He offered to pay interest, provide collateral, and even give me partial ownership of his company. For the first time since the birthday dinner, I actually felt something other than cold indifference toward my family. Not forgiveness. Not yet, but perhaps the smallest crack in the wall I had built. I told him I would consider it, but only under specific conditions. Any loan would go through proper legal channels with standard terms. He would have to publicly acknowledge his treatment of me and commit to treating other people's dreams with more respect. And he would have to volunteer with the foundation for at least 6 months, helping other entrepreneurs navigate the challenges I had faced alone. He agreed to everything without hesitation. Final update. 6 months later, my relationship with my family is complicated but evolving. My brother followed through on his commitment. He's become one of the foundation's most effective mentors, and working with struggling entrepreneurs has given him a new perspective on success and failure. My sister reached out through him, asking if we could meet for coffee. During our conversation, she admitted that her jealousy over my success had made her realize how much she had projected her own insecurities onto my choices. She's now considering leaving her corporate job to pursue her own business idea. My parents are trying, though progress is slower. They've started attending foundation events, and I can see them genuinely connecting with the young entrepreneurs we support. Last month, my mother pulled me aside and said she finally understood why I had been so hurt by their dismissal. The birthday card is still on my desk, not as a reminder of pain, but as a reminder of what I don't want to become. Success means nothing if it doesn't come with compassion. Wealth is worthless if it doesn't come with wisdom about how to treat people. I'm not the same person who walked out of Golden Corral that night. I'm not angrier, but I'm definitely more selective about who gets my time and energy. I've learned that you can't force people to believe in you, but you can choose not to waste your life trying to prove yourself to people who are determined not to see your worth. The foundation just announced its expansion to 3 more cities. We're funding 50 new businesses this year, and I'm working on a book about entrepreneurship and family dynamics. The working title is When Success Isn't Sweet Enough. Some people asked if I regret how I handled everything, if I should have been more forgiving, more understanding of my family's perspective. The truth is, I don't regret protecting myself from people who saw my dreams as worthless. I regret that it took me 32 years to realize I deserved better, but I don't regret the path that led me here. Every dismissive comment, every rolled eye, every suggestion that I was wasting my life, it all contributed to building the resilience I needed to succeed despite them, not because of them. My family is slowly learning that real relationships are built on respect, not just obligation. Some lessons are expensive. Some cost you 8 figures and a few years of family dinners. But some lessons are worth every penny. As I write this, I'm sitting in my home office, looking at a photo from last week's foundation gala. I'm surrounded by young entrepreneurs who are building their dreams despite the odds. These are my people now, the ones who understand that success isn't about proving others wrong, but about proving yourself right. Sometimes the best gift you can give yourself is the permission to walk away from people who don't see your worth, even if those people share your DNA. Especially then,